Welcome to episode 45 of Rebels Without a Pod, the show that dares ask the question, what if they imposed a tariff on good times? What would you do then, guys? Like, I don't know.
They basically are, aren't they? I mean,
a lot of fun stuff's getting more expensive. Like, the fact we're now going to be so big, like the fact that the Switch 2 is being sold for $550 if you want to get a copy of like Mario Kart's kind of come in with it. Like, yeah, it's crazy times.
Yeah.
Wow. What was the original Switch? 300?
You're asking the wrong motherfucker. Really a shame Eric's not on this one. He can tell you to the red sun.
Yeah.
My name is John, and joining me tonight, Andy, who does our artwork and graphic design.
Hey, everybody.
Naveen on music and audio production.
Hey there.
Pod Daddy Eric is off this week, vacationing with his wife in Paris, of all friggin' places. But sitting in is my second place trivia teammate and number one in our hearts. It's Napone. Welcome back to the show, bud.
Hello. Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I guess you could say Eric is, hanging out with Gay Perry.
R.I.P.
No,
Yeah.
He's hanging out in Gay Paris.
Not. Oh well.
Well,
Well,
that could go both ways.
yeah.
Did I just see your mother was in France? Is in France too now?
Yeah,
They
like,
showed up
I'm not pushing anything. I'm just gonna see if like the four of them like randomly kind of run into each other.
It's a really small country. I think they probably will.
It's a small city, as it turns out. Like
Paris is fucking massive, dude. What are you talking about?
the
Eiffel Tower.
parts of it where you actually kind of hang out and go to stuff that have like museums and the restaurants. It's like kind of most essential square than part of Harvard. Like I can claim a bit of like expertise because I was there for a week on vacation about 15 years ago, and then I got stuck there for like another week because like a volcano in Iceland went off. Very
That's not.
yeah. Just
That was good timing.
You think that. That. We can talk about it more off mic.
Yeah.
All of our content currently up on the Rebels Without a Pod YouTube channel. Please remember to like, comment, subscribe. I think this is like the first time we've talked about this on mic, but guys, our channel collectively shot up over 500 views just a few days ago.
Woohoo!
Wow. Nice.
Not nothing. Absolutely not nothing.
Thanks, Leonard.
Thanks, Leonard. Thanks, Napone. It was very cool when I was back in the Northeast for a few days, and we talked a little bit about the pod, but completely unprompted, Napone just went, "Are you guys onto neo noir?"
Does that mean you're listening, Napone?
I do.
Wow.
Nice.
Some of those Honey of the Goose ones are long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's just kind of me and Eric kind of getting our sillies out like a little bit. Like, this is just
I would argue that most of our episodes are completely unlistenable too. So I give you kudos, bro.
Yeah. You think we're bad at an hour 45?
Yeah.
That's trimmed down.
Sure. Yeah, the 3-hour Honey of the Goose, that's for Eric and I and really nobody else. I was on so much cough syrup that night. It was truly just it sort of became like a battle of wills at one point.
Nice.
This is a little spoiler for anybody who gets all the way to the end of that particular episode, but I debuted a new impression called Marlon Bronco, which is Marlon Brando, but he has bronchitis. And my impression is basically I read off IMDb the day of my daughter's wedding speech, and I kept going as far as I could until I started coughing. And that was basically the whole bit.
How far did you get?
Farther than I thought I would, but not that much farther.
Okay.
Yeah. You have to listen to all 3 hours to find out.
Yep.
You say yep.
Yeah, no, I'm
Everything
sure
in your
that I
face
would
and
have.
your eyes.
I would definitely have to listen to all 3 hours should I want to know the answer to that question. You're
All
absolutely
right, so
correct.
that was not a promise. That was just an agreement on the shared reality that we have.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Exactly.
Bud. Gotcha. Next week we'll be hopefully returning to our neo-noir cycle, assuming they let Eric back into the country, with a discussion about Park Chan-wook's erotic Korean historical thriller, The Handmaiden. Really looking forward to that conversation. However, tonight we'll be trying something a bit different for the show. New to us, but old to every other running podcast currently in existence. Gentlemen, this is our inaugural drafting episode.
Woohoo!
Very exciting. Very exciting.
Yeah,
This one focus, of course, because we are a bunch of tired, deeply unoriginal middle-aged guys. We're going to be focusing on movies from 1996.
all right.
So tired.
Yeah, so tired.
So I missed. Why'd you guys choose that year?
That's a great question,
That is
Napone,
a
and
great
I don't have an answer for you.
Almost 30 years ago.
I think Johnny
Uh,
picked it.
Yeah, Johnny picked it. I don't know. Was it because of The Rock?
I think that was a chunk of it. I think a chunk of it was the JetBlue flight I took back home had free Wi-Fi, and I was kind of in that sort of weird on a plane. You're bone exhausted, but can't actually kind of close your eyes because it's just whatever state. And I think I was just okay. I just got a text from Eric. He's like, "Hey, forgot to tell you, going to France." I'm like, "What should we do?" And it popped kind of fully formed into my head.
It's a very random choice of years. I'm not gonna lie.
Right. I kind of wanted to save things like 97, 98, or just kind of like early kind of college years for when we have kind of like sort of like the full roster back in the studio. But 96 I thought would be kind of like an interesting one for a couple different reasons. But it's just as Andy just said, we started this podcast with coverage of 1996's The Rock, one of like the top grossing films of that kind of year. So that at least kind of partially played in. Why don't we kind of let's get into like the draft like a little bit, but why don't we just kind of start talking first? My friends, 1996. I'm asking you, what was that year like for you under like, just the awareness that just 2/3 of you guys are like kind of right down the street from me. But 1996, what was that for like a year out of your youth?
I mean, it started off pretty strong from what I remember, just because it was 16, getting ready to get the license, which was like a big. What's that?
Freedom.
Oh, freedom, yeah.
Right.
A Braveheart style. So it was. So that was pretty always exciting and pretty good. And yeah, just like Napone said, that freedom, just being able to like, all right, can I borrow the car? Can go, you don't do anything. And at the moment, that's the biggest thing that I can remember of 96. There are probably other stuff, but I think that's the biggest one, is just getting the license and having that little extra, again, freedom to be able to go places and not have to worry about being picked up or dropped off, and all that stuff.
100%. Napoleon, sadly, like the Rock episode is kind of been sort of lost to time immemorial, but it was interesting. The kind of the jumping off conversation that we had at the top of that episode was just kind of talking about sort of like our movie watching, like our theater going histories, and Naveen and myself kind of talked about sort of where we grow up, middle of the woods. Not really kind of like a ton to do, and just movie watching ended up kind of supplementing like a lot of our free time. So to what Naveen is saying, kind of 96 and having that license, goddamn, finally, and even it's just the freedom to go to a friend's house to get a sandwich, to hit like a theater, or to kind of rent a movie, or just being able to take a fucking drive from time to time. That was absolutely massive.
It was definitely the time of us like going to watch movies, and we probably watched a lot of movies before we were able to drive too, just because it's probably something our parents are like, oh, we could just drop them off at the movie theater and they'll be gone for 2 hours of the day. That's perfect for us. Especially our parents having 3 kids, so they're like, yeah, this is great, and then they're not at home. And then, like you said, like renting movies, we used to ride our bikes to go rent movies, and that was kind of a ritual we had throughout '96 and
Right.
throughout the years.
As sort of pre '96, I could technically get to a movie rental place in the adjoining town, but it was an extremely hilly 6 miles. Plus, there's this kind of German Shepherd that would always chase me. It was kind of, it was shit kind of like out of like Stand By Me. It was always kind of like just the being able to rent a film on my own terms, sort of pre having a license, was just a thing I kind of remember sort of sentimentally, but also not sentimentally in like the slightest. Andy, how about for you? What was '96?
96 was a tough year. It was a tough year. 96, excuse me, 96 into 97 was a tough time for me. I guess on the upside, like you guys said, got my license. I think that was the year that I started playing guitar, which is pretty cool, as it, basically what it's turned into today. Kind of exciting. But I got diagnosed with Crohn's disease. I got in my first car accident. And it was a good one too. I basically split with a whole group of my friends that I had been friends with for a long, long time.
Oh, that's
we went our separate ways, and I spent the next 12 or 16 months trying to figure out what to do with myself. But it's also bittersweet too, because like I was trying to think of the things that kind of became touchstones for me from that time, and it was a lot of it's music related. And so I looked back at the albums that were released in '96, and it's a laundry list.
It's an extraordinary year for music.
I mean, Anima from Tool, Pinkerton, Weezer, Evil Empire, Rage Against the Machine, Down on the Upside, Soundgarden, No Code, Pearl Jam, All Eyes on Me, Tupac, The Score, Fugees. What else? Pantera, The Great Southern Trendkill. I mean, there was a ton of great stuff that came out at that point. And a bunch of other stuff that I didn't mention. I think Tiny Music came out from Stone Temple Pilots. Fiona Apple's Title came out.
Was that Title, or was that the one after Title that was like the crazy long poem?
Nope, it was Title. The crazy long poem was 98, maybe 97, 98, something like that.
Right.
But anyway, I think I got my first job that year. Working at the local grocery store. So, I mean, there were a lot of firsts that year for sure. But there was some tough shit that happened as well. So, yeah.
First job at McDonald's.
Yeah.
Nice.
First job grocery store that I just got like word only just closed like a few months ago.
Oh, I didn't realize they closed.
I mean, they had changed owners years and years ago, and then I think it was just it just sort of been kind of run into the ground after that.
Gotcha.
So yeah, Andy, to your point though, yes, I mean, like just teenage nostalgia is very interesting. There's a Bill Watterson quote that I like from Calvin and Hobbes that goes something along the lines of like people that were nostalgic about their childhoods were obviously never children.
Yeah. That's an interesting take. Yeah.
For me, generally, kind of the teenage years, 7th grade up through 10th grade, were pretty dark, pretty unhappy, pretty just a lot of kind of like sort of different shit that just not sort of really kind of worth getting kind of into the year. But I think for me, 10th grade wasn't great, but it was finally kind of like a pivot point at least, and kind of junior and senior year, we're not cakewalks by any stretch, but they were kind of considerably sort of more manageable than sort of like a lot of what had sort of kind of come previous to it.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree that basically 7th grade on, but for me it was 7th grade on through like the end of high school it was a long several years. I'm not gonna lie, it was tough. A lot of it, as I look back on it with age, was self-inflicted, but you don't realize that kind of in the moment. You just think that life is handing you lemons and you don't yet know how to make lemonade.
Yeah, but also you're young. you're stupid. Like there's some biological thing about like teenage boys that their brains kind of split in half at 13 and they don't completely grow back together till 25. Like I might be paraphrasing that like a little bit, but you just, it's a lot of it's tough because things that are sort of kind of dumped in your lap, but like a lot of it's tough just because you don't know any better and you wouldn't have any kind of reason to really know any better,
Yeah, I think that's right. So anyway, yeah, it was an interesting year for sure.
Right. But certainly looking at it, but although to your point, you did, despite a lot of the hardships, the some kind of silver linings there. This just a great year for music. I think like a really pretty good year for movies as well, which we'll get into. My first live concert with the brothers here, seeing Smashing Pumpkins tour Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness with Garbage opening up.
That wasn't 97?
You son of a bitch. I remember that. Okay, now we have to think about this. You're probably right because you're you, Napone. So I'm not going to fight it at this point.
It could be wrong because we went.
No, this. I know not to bet against the house with this one.
No, I think you're right.
Yeah, that was a good year. I remember we turned 16. Napone and I went up to Massachusetts and Boston there, visit my brother, and we saw Silverchair open up for Chili Peppers on their One Hot Minute tour.
Silverchair opened up for the Rentals.
Was Navarro still in the band at that point?
Yeah. It's the only time they play One Hot Minute tunes. Yeah, I don't think they've ever played One Hot Minute tunes again.
What a tragedy! I that for me, I still stand as like that being their best album.
Oh man,
they do.
Man, I think you're the first person, Johnny. I agree. That's one of my favorite albums. But everybody's like, no, Blood Sugar Sex Magic, great album.
Yeah.
Not saying it's bad. I love the album.
Yeah, birds love to chirp. What are you going to do? Napone, were you saying something? Did you get the dates confirmed?
No, not yet. But we actually saw the Rentals as well. They were the second band that played, who as we've discussed in some of our chats, the Maya Rudolph was a singer.
Really?
In the Rentals.
Really?
Pre-Weezer, right? Like that was sort of like Weezer before it was Weezer.
No, after Weezer.
No, that was after.
Bassist left Weezer and is in the Rentals.
Got it.
Yeah, they had 2 songs that got big. I think maybe one, Friends of P, right? That was the song.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only one I remember was their biggest hit or only hit.
But that same weekend is when I discovered Radiohead The Bends, which it didn't come out in 96. Okay. I think it came out in 95, the end of 95.
We need to do like a mid-90s movie, mid-90s music draft at some point.
Oh, dude, impossible.
Yeah.
Impossible.
Okay.
I'd strangle you all for taking my.
Yeah. I mean,
Stuff,
it could very well be like the last part of the pod.
I know I'm gonna sound like that old boomer dude that's like, oh, back in my day, music was great, but like it is indisputable that the music that we came up with in like from like I'm gonna go like 87, maybe a little bit before that, up until like 99 was just superb. It was stellar. Yeah. Not all of it, but there was stuff. Some of the stuff that came out during that period of time is some of the best music ever. Right.
Some of the best music, and also a surprising amount still holds up to this day. Like I have in my car the last remnants of my CD collection in like a really kind of bulky case Logic booklet. And I still just kind of run through like all like the leftover kind of high school CDs I have, and I'm like constantly just sort of surprised by. This is still really, really good. This is still really entertaining.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, it looks like it was November 96 was Smashing Pumpkins.
Oh, you did it, Johnny. Under the wire by 2 months.
This is
the phone by 1 point this time.
Right. Right. That's always the joke we had about the calculus class that we take together. No matter how well I did, the opponent would always have 1 point more than me.
Nerds.
Well,
yes, we were in calculus.
Don't you start.
Honors, no doubt.
Okay. It just did.
He's not saying anything because he
For
knows
the
you're
people
right.
who can't see on the podcast recording, I'm just shaking my head. Okay. That cannot that bit from the last episode cannot have translated well to audio. Let's draft.
Yeah. All right. Draft time.
Okay, so I'm going to share my screen real quick. So the first part of doing any draft is you have to set up the draft order. Can you guys confirm that you can see the page I'm at for random.org?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. So we got this is a we've used this plenty of times before. This is a random number generator seeded by noise from the upper atmosphere. And this basically gives you a way to reliably shuffle data in any number of ways. I have our 4 names listed here. I'm going to click randomize, and that is going to give us our drafting order. All right. And here we go. So drafting first will be Napone, then myself, then Andy, and then we got Naveen on the turn.
All right, and we can go any
category.
category.
All right, and so let me sort of pull up like the drafting sheet real quick here.
The Twins get the double pick.
There we do. And here's our draft spreadsheet. Let's see. So it was Napone up top. So I'm just going to fill in the full first rotation. There's going to be a little spreadsheet magic that'll happen.
And we should mention too, while you do that, Johnny, that we're going to do our draft order, and then we're going to have Eric take a look at this and comment on it. Are we going to say the next pod or just a future pod?
Whenever he gets back from France.
Got it.
Yeah. So we'll have to see how long that actually could take. There could be like a weird thing with tariffs, like a volcano could kind of go up again. Like, you know, the City of Lights can draw you in. I guess.
Got it.
We're going to be drafting in 6 categories, which will be action, comedy, drama, subgenres of sci-fi, a collective subgenre category, sci-fi, horror, and romance. Wildcard, where you can kind of pick any just anything that you want out of any category, and a category of so bad it's good, like essentially just a shitty movie from '96 that you still remember enjoying. The competition, like Andy said, we're going to be we're all trying to draft the best roster of 1996 movies. I was thinking, you know, maybe there's some kind of way we could kind of get this out to like the 2 listeners that we actually know that we have somewhat consistently, but one of them is actually on the show right now, so that's kind of out. Eric, we'll turn these rosters over to Eric, and we'll kind of ask him as objectively as he is able to kind of to rank who has the best set of 1996 movies from worst to best. When you do a pick, that movie is taken off the board for all the rounds in all of the categories. We can be, I think, reasonably flexible with the categories themselves, as long as it's something that you can sort of reasonably defend fits into the category that you're drafting the movie for. It should be fine. It just, you know, we'll you know, if there is a case of kind of what might be construed as kind of outright category fraud, we'll sort of kind of like, you know, we'll kind of turn it over to like the vote of like the other three hosts to sort of make a decision about that. And that is pretty much that. Any other questions before we get started?
No, sir.
Okay. All right. So drafting first. Napone, what's your movie and what's the category you're putting it in?
So we talked about '96 kind of being a great year, like memories of it, and I have a strong memory of this movie, but I saw it in '97. It was actually the first movie I saw.
We will clarify. This is kind of mentioned off mic, but we did not need to actually explicitly see these movies in 1996 because it would have made like the draft like too insane.
So it's horror. I guess you can call it horror. You could
Okay.
probably put it in comedy if you wanted to, but I'm putting it in horror. Is Scream.
Scream.
Ooh.
Good one to start out. You want to say a few words about it?
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was a great movie. It was like a semi horror. I think it had some funny things to it. I think Wes Craven, loving the Nightmare on Elm Street series, Wes Craven kind of does a great job of kind of combining those two.
Hmm.
I know Freddy's a little bit more comic-y in the later movies,
Hmm.
and there's not really a comic-y villain in Scream, but I just had that kind of like good teen vibe of what our high school life was like, and having that scared aspect to it.
Right, right. It's one of those that it was also like the first one that sort of, these kind of things had been done before, but what was interesting about Scream, it was like really one of the first movies that actually did a bit of a meta narrative thing. It actually had characters in it who had watched other horror movies and kind of knew the tropes, kind of like knew sort of kind of like what like the standard things like the genre was actually about, and like that sort of thing has existed in one way or another for like a really long time. But I think to at least my memory, that was the first thing first time I remember seeing that meta kind of awareness in a horror movie that was on like the scale that Scream actually was.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's a good choice.
Yeah. Anything to add before we go on, guys?
Negative.
No.
All right, so I'm drafting next in action, and I'm sure this is going to be like a disappointment to like a bunch of guys. This was kind of for me sort of a thin category, because some of the major action films like '96 are things that I either didn't care for or just kind of had like no memory of. Like Twisters kind of existed for me and was fine. I remember being excited going into like Mission Impossible, and then sort of being like kind of like annoyed by it as I sat through it. If you look up like a list of like the biggest action films from like '96, you see the John Travolta and Christian Slater joint Broken Arrow, which I know I watched. I know I technically watched. I could not tell you anything about it that probably wasn't in like the trailer itself. So for action, because like this is the thinnest category for me, I'm going to take the movie that we covered on our first episode, The Rock. Yeah, this one is just sort of classic of classic of kind of 90s action cinema. One of the last great kind of Sean Connery performances. Easily like kind of like the best sort of Michael Bay movie. Like the first thing that we talked about like on the podcast, a movie that I enjoyed so much rewatching as an adult for the show, that I pushed for like I pushed heartily a couple different times that instead of calling us Rebels Without a Podcast, we should call each other Zeus's buttholes. Thankfully, that did not sort of like kind of pan out.
I still think it could have worked, man. Think about the merch.
Yeah. Rebels I liked in the jump. It's only kind of grown on me over time, but like I don't know. My parents are occasionally listening to these episodes right now, so I'm just looking back. Hindsight is always 20/20.
Yeah.
Indeed.
You have a new episode of Zeus's Butthole.
What's up, buttholes and buttholettes?
Buttholettes. You
Speaking
know those would be the sweetest T-shirts.
Yeah. Yep.
Right.
Oh well.
Yeah.
Speaking of your Broken Arrow comment, I felt like looking at the list of movies, I was like, I feel like I've seen that movie, but I don't remember anything about it. It was a tough gamble for a lot of these.
It was something about like John Travolta captured like this super stealth airplane that was immune to like radar or something kind of like that, and they fight with Christian Slater over like a Native American reservation. I'm sure aspects of it probably age kind of weird, but
Remember a lot more than you thought you did. Or did you
again, you can pick up all that from the trailer, so I don't know really kind of what the camera really counts for. Okay,
Gotcha.
sorry for taking that one off the board, boys, but just drafting second really had to be done.
Took it off my list.
Yeah.
Yep. Same.
Andy, you're up.
All right. I've been going back and forth debating what I want to use as my first round draft pick, my first pick. And as I look at my list, I think I'm gonna go to the action genre as well, because I kind of tend to agree with you, Johnny, that genre was a little bit thin that year. The Rock was going to be my first pick, to be clear.
3 or 4 mega hits and then kind of disposable otherwise.
Yep.
Yeah.
The Rock was going to be my first pick. It's still one of my all-time favorite action movies. But I'm actually going to go to what I believe was my very first introduction to a young man by the name of Quentin Tarantino. And also what could arguably be the sexiest scene in the history of film with Miss Salma Hayek. And I am going to select the incredibly fun, very, very bloody, very action-packed movie From Dusk Till Dawn.
Yeah.
Ah,
Pain in the ass.
there it goes.
Sorry,
That was
guys.
a good choice too.
What was Salma's name in the? I'm looking it up right now.
Oh, I don't know.
Doesn't matter.
Santanico
it matters.
Pandemonium was her exotic dancer name.
What was it?
Santanico Pandemonium. This is coming straight from IMDb.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Like I said, it doesn't matter.
Right.
Yeah, no, it doesn't matter. You're right.
Yeah.
So you put that under action, huh?
Well, Napone, that's interesting you say that, because no, originally I didn't have that as an action movie. I had it under the sci-fi horror romance bracket, but Johnny's point about it being a thin year for action, I think was pretty good. And so I decided to do a last minute shift, which means now my sci-fi horror romance bracket is only down to 2 choices. So if any of those 2 get picked, which I think they probably will, I'm going to have to scramble.
Yeah. You ever want to watch one of the most beautiful women in the world dance very sexily and then pour an entire bottle of sort of tequila down her body to have it slurped off of her foot by one of the 90s kind of foremost directors? It was a wild time. It just different era, man.
Yep.
Different
George
era.
Clooney was great. It was just a great movie. Danny Trejo, the whole 9 yards. Just a winner of a movie from top to bottom.
Clooney playing. I didn't. This is very, very early. Kind of. He may have still been on ER at that point, or just trying to kind of break out. But mean, badass Clooney with tattoos is something that, despite this being like the least girl-friendly film of all time, is something that I've definitely heard women kind of talk about like over the years of like, just, holy shit, he's not just a hot doctor.
Yep. Yep.
Clooney left in '99.
There you go.
Yeah. Okay. Now we got Naveen on the turn with a double pick.
All right. Well, I'm taking one of your all. I know it's in there, but I'm taking Independence Day under action.
Yeah.
Under action. I'm taking it under action.
This is something I was trying to like explain a little bit, because I listened to like a lot of these drafting podcasts for things like movies or video games or board games or kind of whatever else, and it's just, this is a game of opportunity cost. When you pick something, you really have to think of it through the lens of just like, if I spend my turn picking this, what do I potentially lose to like one of my competitors?
Yep. I knew this one was going to go, but that's, you know, it is.
But again, I'm putting it under action for this one.
Action for this one.
I'm sticking with that category to take care of that one. Yeah.
All right. One second.
It's sci-fi, yeah.
It could be sci-fi. I mean, yeah, it's a multi genre movie there.
Right. Absolutely argument for both sides of it.
Yeah. Now I'm gonna go to the sci-fi horror romance genre, since I get to pick again.
Okay.
And I'm at a crossroads. I got 2 of them that are really good that I liked, but I think I'm gonna go with Frighteners.
Frighteners.
Ooh.
Yeah, I don't know, maybe I'm the wrong thing, but I think it's kind of a horror movie with all the ghosts and things, and
100%.
And just the way Peter Jackson directed it and the effects in there, I thought it was great. How they
One of
did
the
it.
last Michael J. Fox performances before he sort of kind of publicly got sick, if I remember right.
I believe so. Yeah.
I've never seen this movie.
It's a great
you should-
movie.
Great
Yeah.
film. Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
Jackson was a super interesting guy. My brother and I had a little bit of an obsession with him because he was largely a New Zealand-based indie horror director, and he made a couple really, really kind of good sort of schlocky, low budget, but really fun, really bloody and creative horror films. The best of which, Dead Alive, is just kind of stands for kind of like Tim and I, one of the most fun experiences that I think that like the two of us have had, kind of like watching like a movie together. So the fact he came over to the States, made Frighteners, and then the next thing he did after that were the freaking Lord of the Rings movies. Truly one of like the kind of the most just kind of outlier kind of like director careers I think that have like ever existed.
Yeah.
I'll have to check it out.
Right. But Naveen, on your first pick there, you sort of like put down Independence Day and didn't really say anything besides that. You want to talk to that movie for a couple minutes?
Oh yeah. I mean, it could be again under the sci-fi as well, being with aliens and all that stuff, which was great. But it's definitely action-packed, just a lot of fun of let's kill these aliens before they kill us, kind of thing, and take over our world.
Mm-hmm.
Fun as well with some of the jokes and things in there with Will Smith, or even Jeff Goldblum's part as being the the scientist, smart guy in there, and be like, all right, let's just give it a virus and do this.
Let's give the UFO a virus with a 96 MacBook. Like just
Yeah.
again, different era.
Right. So
Right. When's in the background drinking tequila off a foot, like things. People just having more fun then.
Yeah. I mean, he took mine, so I couldn't take it. I couldn't use it.
It's one of those great blockbusters.
Yeah. Bill Pullman is the president.
One of my all-time favorites. The two of my favorite action movies of all time came out in 1996. It was Independence Day and The Rock.
Mm-hmm. Right. Kind of interesting for like we've been saying, but it's fascinating to me. I'm glad I was the only one who did not have this thought of kind of looking over like the action genre, and there's three mega hits up top, one of which I don't even sort of particularly care for, but like the Rock, Independence Day, Mission Possible were both in the top 10 highest grossing films in like the States for that year.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, going back to Andy.
Okay, I'm gonna have to
It's a long wait,
go.
by the way.
What was that?
That's a long wait to get back to my turn.
Yeah. Yep. It
I'll
is.
just drop it off on my list.
Sorry, man. I have a feeling this one's gonna take some off of somebody's list. This one is a movie that very, very quick story, and I won't even get into the details of it. But during college, I took a speech writing class where we had to get up and give speeches several times throughout the semester about various different topics. And one of the speeches we had to do was basically under the persuasive speech kind of umbrella. And I had to get up and try to defend what I felt was a very unpopular, or not very unpopular, but maybe like a not very popular opinion that I had. And so I decided, in my infinite collegiate wisdom, I think it was probably my junior year, that I was going to get up and defend this film because I thought that it was vastly underrated, extremely funny, great cast, et cetera, et cetera. And I got up there, and the very first thing I asked was, by show of hands, has anybody in this room seen the movie Mars Attacks? And not one single hand in the room went up.
Really?
Not one. And it was a classroom of maybe 40 people. Not a single person had seen that movie. And I proceeded to spend the next, 10, maybe 12 minutes talking about a movie that nobody in the room had seen, and trying to convince people that this movie of aliens with these big glass heads and and that said ack all the time, and
based on an R-rated trading card set from the 50s.
Was worth their time. And when I tell you that there were crickets at the end of that speech, that would be an understatement. I can also tell you that I did not do particularly well on that assignment. But I do feel like it's a good pick for this one. So Mars Attacks.
Nice. Under what category?
Sci-fi.
Sci-fi.
Oh.
All right.
No kidding, huh? I mean, so nobody ended up watching Mars Attacks then, huh? After your speech?
I mean, I don't know.
Right.
I was way too embarrassed to even ask subsequently if anybody had spent the time to watch it. That was not a
to do
good
the
day in that
speech on
class.
another pod.
Right.
I wish I still had it because I would give it now, but no, long gone.
That's
4 scores and 3 years ago.
I think it started off with me setting the scene, which is in the opening scene of the movie. It's the herd of cows running down the road, and they're all on fire. And I use that as sort of like to set the scene for this speech that I gave. It sounds like a bad idea now. It was a worse idea then.
I think Andy.
And Andy, if you are ever inspired to kind of look through some of those old Mars Attack trading cards, taking a look at the artwork, and even trying to attempt some version of that for the podcast at any point, I personally would be over the moon.
I would love to try that. That artwork is absolutely unreal. I don't know that I have the ability, but I will certainly think about it. I'll give it a shot.
Yeah. Okay, going on. I have a pick now in kind of sci-fi, horror, romance, and I'm a little bit conflicted on the exact pick that I'm going to go with, but I think I'm going to pick The Island of Dr. Moreau in horror. Yeah. Sorry, but this is just my instincts are fighting me a little bit because this is such a better pick in the so bad it's good category. It was going to be. I'm sure it was going to kind of come out at some point, if not just for just kind of as kind of given our flowers to kind of like the untimely passing of Val Kilmer, but what a truly John Frankenheimer's 1996 The Island of Dr. Moreau, an adaptation of an old H.G. Wells short story about an island run by a mad scientist filled with kind of half animal people. Val Kilmer, David Thewlis, Marlon Brando, in one of his past roles. The movie itself is so fucking bananas front to back, just on the face. And then the performance by Marlon Brando, a man who at this point in his life had truly lost his mind. Does every single scene in kind of white pancake makeup, aviator sunglasses, and kind of a large diaphanous hospital gown. He does he does an entire scene with, I think, his Puma daughter, played, if memory is kind of is if I can trust my memory in this, by Fairuza Balk. He's comforting her, but the entire scene, he has a bucket of ice tied to his head. And the thing that maybe most people will sort of realize, the thing that will make kind of most people sort of realize how important this movie is that with no explanation, there's a very, very tiny version of the Marlon Brando character sitting next to him the entire time, played by this kind of just super midget who's maybe about like a foot and a half tall, and dressed the same in the same kind of beads and hospital gown, says nothing at any point, is never commented on, was basically the inspiration for in the second and third Austin Powers movies. This is directly what inspired Mini-Me. Is Marlon Brando and this little tiny man that followed him around, which apparently the journalism around this movie of just but kind of the crazy stuff that happened, at least half of it was Marlon Brando's own kind of personal idea, including putting a very, very tiny version of himself next to himself, in every single scene that he was actually in.
If I'm not mistaken, he also throughout this movie refused to learn his lines.
Yes.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing. Didn't he
Yeah,
like ad-lib?
and not only that, but he actually made some of the actors and actresses that he was acting towards or whatever that would have their backs to the screen or whatever, wear essentially a cue card on their chests or wherever, so that he could sit there and just read his lines off of their the cue cards taped to their bodies.
Interesting thing about Brando, that's not even unique to like this movie. He was doing this in like the 77, 78 original Superman movie where he played Jor-El, Superman's father. He actually did the same thing, but the most of the scenes he's holding baby Superman at that point, and he actually had his lines written on the diaper of the baby that he was holding. So he wouldn't have to like memorize stuff like ahead of time. Island of Dr. Moreau, very, very creepy, very stylish, really, really kind of great Val Kilmer performance. Is legitimately kind of just kind of terrifying, kind of nerve-wracking at points, but you also have kind of supplementing this constant crazy bullshit happening so frequently, just kind of get thrown in your heads in a way. It kind of actually, I think, kind of like pushes your guard down like a little bit.
Never seen it.
Yeah.
Oh, great movie. It was one of my choices as well.
Yeah. Napone, we're going to you for on the turn. You got a double pick.
Nice. Just speaking of Val Kilmer, I just want to say you guys got to be careful what movie you watch next now. So you kind of put a curse on it. So I don't think we've talked about this, but like you mentioned that for a lot of you, action was a tough category. I felt like the drama was a tougher category for myself.
Okay.
The other ones I can't remember watching drama like movies in the mid 90s.
I mean, drama is like a pretty wide umbrella. So if there's like a romantic thing or a thing you could say is kind of drama and comedy, like a little bit, as long as you can defend the pick, Yeah, you can have it,
So I am choosing one in there. It might be one that's on someone's list. I just needed to put something in this category, but I think it fit in best there. And it's got our wonderful friend Marky Mark in it.
No kidding. I had that in mind.
Is what I selected. I know it could probably be put into a couple categories, but I felt like it fit into drama the best. It had one of the best lines in it too. Just fucking let me in. The movie was all right, but that line always just made us laugh whenever we watched that movie.
Yeah, I probably would have put that movie in the so bad it's good category. I did have it in drama as well, a couple of them, so it was kind of in a few categories for me.
Napone, kind of chunks of you, kind of like a cutout. Can you say like the title again?
Fear.
Fear. All right. A movie Eric is obsessed with. Completely obsessed with.
I think it's only fair, honestly, because I thought about picking that movie because I know how much Eric loves it. But I didn't because I felt like it was a little bit on the cheating side. I think it's only fair that Napone got that pick because although he's a listener, he may not be aware of just how much Eric loves this movie. So I think I'm glad, Napone, that you ended up with it. I think that it gives you an unfair advantage, but you didn't know that pick.
I mean, Napone may have preemptively like won the draft entirely by getting Fear on his roster.
That's kind of what I'm saying. Kind of what I'm saying. But I'm okay with it. I think it's okay.
Eric once described this movie as a sweet-natured Boston boyfriend helps his girlfriend get over her fear of roller coasters.
Yeah.
Now, what happens if Eric disagrees with the category?
Yeah, that's something I think we'll just have to shake out on mic.
It's a good question.
Might be good content. We'll see.
Yeah. All right.
So, and Napone, pick number 2.
So, this is my goal was to originally like choose things that I thought you guys were going to choose first and get them out of the bat as quickly as possible. I don't think that play has been helping me too much, so I'm going with with comedy
Okay.
and not choosing one of the many Adam Sandler movies or SNL,
Whoa. Okay.
and going with Kingpin.
Kingpin.
Ah!
Yeah.
I hate it that you're my twin.
Great call.
One of the
Absolutely
legit
great
best.
call.
One of the just.
Yep.
Yeah.
Great performances
Home
by
run,
Woody
fun
Harrelson, Bill Murray.
Oh, fantastic.
Great call.
Yeah.
It was on my list.
Yeah.
Nice.
No, very good movie. Yeah. Great cast. Even just a great storyline.
Mm-hmm.
It was a Farrelly Brothers movie, right?
I was going to ask. Like,
Yes.
that was the Farrelly that predated Something About Mary, right?
Yes, I believe
Yeah.
that's correct. Yeah, that's a great call. Good choice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh, man.
He's not in it a ton, but one of the best Bill Murray performances of like that decade.
Oh God, with the comb over.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Sort of like an amazing outro of Blues Traveler dressed up as just Amish people.
Yep.
Playing like over the credits.
Yep.
Fun fucking movie, right front to back.
Really great.
Yeah.
Randy
And it's
Quaid,
about
right?
Bowling. Bowling of all things.
Yeah. Okay, so I got my next pick, and for drama, I am going to put down Fargo.
Oh, man.
Sorry, bud.
Uh,
Just a from the teenage years on, just like the biggest Coen Brothers fans, like obsessed with their movies, obsessed with like their writing. I took 2 different writing courses in undergrad, and both of them at different points taught the Coen Brothers movie Barton Fink as one of the best and most interesting kind of scripts that have ever been written. Fargo, just a just classic. Could also kind of go could also go in comedy. Could even possibly, there might be like a little bit of like an argument for like horror, just like the strangeness of it, the intelligence, the creativity, just like the fact that you're watching like these Midwestern kind of psychos run around, and even though like the story, the plot itself is so implausible, what you see so constantly in this movie is just kind of it's human behavior at its weakest and somehow kind of most believable. Incredible performance by William H. Macy. Incredible performance by kind of Francis McDormand and kind of like a Steve Buscemi. Just a taut, exciting movie with not an ounce of fat on it. And then it's a film they followed up a couple years later with The Big Lebowski. I mean, just like the run that these fucking guys had in like the 90s, and which they did quite well sort of before and kind of like after then, but just the Coens for making films that were smarter and weirder and kind of more engaging than just about anything else that was out there. Just Fargo for me this year, it stands out as like one of the best.
Yep.
That
good
was
call.
great. That's one of the ones that I had a difficulty. I was like, I had to look up what kind of it's classified as. It said like dark comedy. I'm like, I need to put it in drama. I need more in drama.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Going on to Andy.
Well, we seem to be kind of grouping a little bit, but I think I'm also going to hit the drama genre. There were 3 dramas that sort of stood out to me that year. And of those 3, I really only enjoyed one of them. And so I am going to pick a film that I actually haven't watched probably since the maybe the early 2000s, but that I remember really liking, and with one of the best earworms of any film maybe ever, and that is the movie That Thing You Do.
What? You put that
Sorry, Andy, one more time. What category you're taking this in?
Drama? Do you disagree, Napone?
No, not at all. Just was
I
reading.
feel like it's definitely a comedy.
Yeah.
I mean, it has comedic elements to it, but it also has dramatic elements to it.
That is true.
Right.
And I definitely wouldn't waste that pick on comedy because there were so many good comedies that year that. But I felt like anyway. I think it's a great movie. Tom Hanks is awesome in it. The Steve Zahn is great in it. I can't think of the other actor. Ethan Embry is awesome in it.
Weren't the songs in that movie written by the guy from? He's like a really kind of well-known sort of like indie rock musician. Right?
I think it was the guy from Fountains of Wayne. Fountains of Wayne.
Fountains of Wayne. Yep.
Who's now passed away. But I can't think of the dude's name. But yes, what a great pop song writer that guy is. Stacy's Mom, and there's a bunch of other ones too. But yeah, that Thing You Do, the main. I'm assuming it's called. The song is called That Thing You Do. I would think. Right. I don't know. Yeah. To this day, I can still hear it.
My father and one of his best friends got weirdly into Fountains of Wayne, kind of relatively kind of like later in life, because
they're actually a surprisingly great band.
Yeah, it's one of those. It's kind of somewhat like a Ben Harper thing. If you only know him from like the one radio hit that he had, you'd be like, what's exciting about this guy? And then he just has like 12 or 13 of the best albums. Like nobody's actually just kind of just nobody's ever heard of. You know.
Yep. Yep. So that's my pick. I'm going with that one.
Sweet. Naveen on the turn with a double.
All right, with the double. All right. I'm gonna jump into comedy there, and I got a few here. Like you said, there are quite a few good ones, but I'm gonna go with Biodome.
Biodome.
Nice.
Okay.
You gotta love that duo, Pauly Shore, Stephen Baldwin, and getting locked into this biodome to help the earth out, and Viva los Biodome. Making a filter. Dude, we don't need those anymore. We're just gonna use sheets. It's like and then he eats the key. Oh man, it's just so many good things there. Just outrageous and dumb, but funny. It's just good. So going with Biodome.
Right. To the best of my memory, there was an actual Biodome style experiment that they did that I believe inspired this movie called Biosphere 2, where a group of like about half a dozen scientists basically sort of locked themselves in like a giant kind of like a kind of dome terrarium. The plan was for them to be there for 5 years and study just botany and biology and kind of see what they could cultivate and see if they had different sort of projects to make the kind of the ecology and like the natural system sort of kind of self-sustaining. And if I remember right, they had to cancel the experiment years early because basically all 6 people kind of turned on each other like a different people kind of went nuts.
Of course they did.
Yeah, which I don't know.
Wow.
It's 2020.
Literally zero chance that was going to work out.
Right. Like the fact nobody was stabbed to death inside the biodome is like the bigger miracle there.
Yep.
Right. And Naveen, what do you got for your second pick?
I guess finish off this drama category with Train Spotting.
Train Spotting.
A life of we could put it in the drama category instead of the comedy category, but whichever one.
Well,
yeah.
What you think is funny.
Yeah. But
Scotland, how do they make this stuff up?
All around great movie. Ewan McGregor, I think one of his breakout roles there. But
a bunch of other actors too. Kelly Rowland and who's Tim Carlisle, and there's one other sort of pretty.
I forget his name, but he's from Hackers.
Yeah. Oh, Johnny Lee Miller.
Johnny Lee Miller. That's it. Yep. Just an interesting take on the whole drug scene and getting over it and going back and just taking place. I correct me if I'm wrong because I can't remember completely. I know it's in the UK there. I'm not sure if it's England itself.
Scotland, right outside Edinburgh.
Scotland. I was going to say Scotland, but I second guessed myself. But yeah. But again, just the life of drug addicts and all those things, which is pretty interesting.
A movie I always thought was kind of about boredom more than anything else, because everybody was kind of fundamentally miserable, and kind of drugs were an outlet for it, but even kind of everybody sort of kind of getting off of drugs after a while, it still became, well, I can't get satisfaction from a career, can't get satisfaction from sex. As you kind of get older, kind of like music becomes less interesting, film becomes like less interesting.
Yeah.
Right. Was it also really a bit outside like the kind of thing that I generally like, but one of like the coolest soundtracks I think I like out of like the films that we're talking about today.
That's right. Yeah, and did have a pretty good soundtrack from what I remember.
All right, going to Andy.
Okay, I think I'm gonna jump to the comedy category as well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna pick a movie that is definitely not the best comedy from this time frame, but it is so on brand with who I was in 1996, and I don't know that I should necessarily even admit that out loud, but we only have 2 listeners and one of them's here, so it doesn't really matter.
Sure.
I'm gonna go with Beavis and Butthead Do America.
Motherfucker.
Nice.
That was on my list, dude. It was on my list.
Yeah. I
was hoping you were gonna say Kazam.
Not Kazam. No. To this day, I still quote it regularly. I see you have braces. I have braces too. And Travis and Bob Head, and there's just so many stupid. I'm gonna do the sluts. So much dumb shit in that movie. But I will go to my grave.
What's the chicken paprika? No. What's the chicken paprika? Chicken.
I don't recall that one.
Chicken piccata.
Oh, piccata from the bowl.
There it is.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. It's just like I said. I will go to my grave, defending Beavis and Butthead as one of the funniest pairs of characters in the history of ever.
And it's great that they were able to keep it up for a 90-minute session.
Because these things were like, it was like a 4-minute chunk, the interstitial kind of music video commentary, and then like another 4-minute chunk. The fact that he made a movie that was not just effective but fucking great front to back was just, there's really kind of no reason that it shouldn't have worked as well as it did.
Yep.
Yeah.
Demi Moore. Sorry, go ahead, Demi.
I was just gonna say, and also another good soundtrack.
Great soundtrack. Yeah, Roller Coaster of Love, and just such good stuff. But I mean, Demi Moore played a great character.
Her actual husband at the time, Bruce Willis.
Yep, also a great role. So yeah, that's definitely one of my favorite movies from the 90s.
Right. So in the fall of '96, a really pretty nice, modern for its time movie theater opened up right down the street from like the high school that Napoleon and Naveen and I went to. And one of my all-time favorite just ever theater going experiences. It was the late show opening night on a Friday. The late show for where we grew up probably meant, like 8:45.
9:30, yeah.
Yeah. If that. But sitting in the second row with all my high school friends and in a completely sold out theater, sure, entirely guys, the Beavis and Butthead thing kind of coming on, and then immediately the opening gag of their TV is stolen. They're trying to figure out what was going on. Everybody's in their minds laughing. But then the moment on the plane where Beavis pops up as Cornholio, I've never been in a movie theater where I've never been in a theater where there's a moment closer to like a standing ovation. It's I had this at the top of my list for comedy. I'm glad I got sort of like these other things. I really didn't think anybody would kind of take it this earlier, but just
there you go.
Love her and treat her well. That's all I got to say to you, Andy.
And looks like we got 3 people here that'll back you up.
Yeah.
Defending it.
Did we end up seeing that on Christmas? I didn't realize that came out like late '96, December 20th.
Right. So I'm going to take a comedy entry. I have two films left on my comedy roster. Beavis and Butthead has been taken. Kingpin has been taken. Out of the two movies that are left, there's a categorically better one on here, but I kind of want to take the kind of weirdo, kind of redheaded stepchild of the two. My pick for comedy is going to be Kids in the Hall, Brain Candy.
Uh-huh. I knew you were going to pick that one. I knew it.
God, Kids in the Hall, Brain Candy. Not
Great
a show I was super familiar with. We didn't kind of really have like cable growing up, and kind of access to these things was sort of tough. I got really into Kids in the Hall like later on down the line, but this conversation, I think, between blanking on like the two sort of specific sort of cast members, but they're playing police on a stakeout, and one of them just kind of goes at one point, "Yeah, I saw this documentary the other day on toast fucking." The guy goes, "What?" I was like, "Yeah, toast fucking. Being that's being fucked by or fucking with a piece of toast." And his partner's kind of silent for a moment. He's like, "That's don't think that's a real thing, Bob." And Bob's kind of quiet for a second. He's like, "Oh, huh, I must have dreamed it. Oh well." That spoke to a thing that was kind of nascent at that point in my life, but eventually sort of became, in the early 2000s, me getting so obsessed with Adult Swim that I ended up kind of getting like an Aqua Teen Hunger Force tattoo, like that joke, and about everything else in the movie. No, not fuck stummies, just God, it was singing to me like in a way that I kind of didn't like even kind of recognize yet. Just what a great movie, and what a fucking group that was, like just far ahead of its time. So, Kids in the Hall.
I do remember quoting that a lot.
What's that, Napone?
I do remember quoting that movie a lot.
One of those guys was on a plane behind me.
Really?
And I can see his face, but I don't know their names. I was never a huge fan, but he was behind me, and I remember absolutely nobody, looking at him and thinking, like you didn't see anybody looking at him and go like, "Oh, that's the dude from The Thing." Nobody cared.
Other than maybe Dave Foley.
It wasn't Dave Foley.
It wasn't Dave Foley. Okay, so
I don't know. Him I would know.
Martin McKinney got pretty big.
Right.
No, hold on. Let me just quickly. It was that guy.
Yeah, with the hair.
The guy with the hair and Bruce McCulloch.
Oh, sure. Yeah, a guy that looks like about a million other guys.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
And nobody recognized him. And as soon as I saw him, I was like, "Oh shit, that's the guy from That Thing."
Right.
Anyway,
I am so mortified by the idea of like approaching like any celebrity to say like anything to him. But I feel like if I saw a non-Dave Foley Kids in the Hall and like a normal enough sort of social situation like that, I would hope I would work up the nerve to kind of say something like hey, just Brain Candy was criminally underrated for its time. Just the thing I kind of really loved as a teenager.
I don't know if I've ever talked about this on the pod before, but I used to, and it's been a long time, but I used to be famous for seeing celebrities in airports. It was just a thing that happened to me all the time. I saw him. I saw Tony Shalhoub. I saw Tyrese Gibson, Maria Menounos. Was it? I think it was Jermaine Jackson. It was either Jermaine or Tito. I don't remember which one.
Right.
But it was, and they're always C-list. Nobody big name that I ever see. But
I just found out relatively recently, my girlfriend, who grew up in Japan, loves Tyrese Gibson and has like the biggest crush on him.
Interesting.
kind of out of nowhere, but we were kind of like flipping the channels one night, and like Fast 7 came on Japanese TV, which has a far better. All the Fast movies have way better Japanese titles than they do in the States. It's like Fast 7 was like F7 X3 Wild Speed Phase Beta or something like that.
I'd watch that movie. I've never seen a Fast and the Furious movie, but I'd watch that.
7 was pretty good. 7 was real. They go to space Tyrese and Ludacris bring a Pontiac into space.
Yeah, that makes sense. That track, sure.
All right. Going to the Napoleon on the turn. Double pick.
Ooh. So I need to hedge my bets here. How many more rounds do we got, roughly?
I think we got 2 categories left for each person. 2 categories left for each person.
Yep, that's right.
Yeah. Napoleon, after your first pick, I think we're cycling through the back third.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think I'm gonna go into action, and choose Twister.
Twister.
I know it wasn't the greatest of movies, but I do remember watching it several times, kind of enjoying it when it came on TV.
Did you see this one in the theaters?
I don't think so. I don't recall. I'm pretty sure I didn't.
I feel like this is a movie, if you saw in theaters, you would remember seeing in theaters.
Yeah. So I don't remember seeing it in the theaters at all. I mean, it could almost be like so bad it's good, but I think it was also just a decent action movie with
special effects were like a little ahead of its time for like just what it was, and
it had some good humor in it, and I tend to like anything with Carrie Elways in it, so that helps too.
Right. Spoiler for an almost 30-year-old movie, but he dies by a giant girder to the face.
Yeah.
That's kind of like the only thing I remember about Twister.
I just had the Beautiful Mind spoiled this week. I'm like, what?
Was it that he was kind of ugly on the inside?
Can I spoil it for you? I don't know.
Yeah. Just go ahead. Yeah. You're 50% of our listenership, so unless I get an angry text from Leonard, I'll let you know.
One of the guys is an imaginary person, I guess. The Paul Bettany character. Like, all right. You just ruined that movie for me, I guess. I don't really know what it's about, but...
Well, if you haven't seen it in 30 years, probably not going to watch it.
That's true.
Yeah.
Thinking.
Although it was a good movie. I enjoyed it.
It was pretty good.
Yeah, I think you should watch it.
I would be remiss if I didn't mention that Twister is my mother's favorite movie.
Just ever?
Well, I don't know that I would say ever. But if you were to ask her, what's your favorite movie? She would probably say Twister. She's seen it. Yeah, she's seen it. I would wager a guess to say that she's seen at least bits and pieces of it over 100 times.
Anything about like what it's just
we've got
that's the most purely random film to be like just your favorite of like all time.
Especially if you know my mother.
Sure.
She is not you would never pick this as, I mean, she still to this day watches Little House on the Prairie almost every day.
Right.
She loves Wizard of Oz.
Okay.
You know, like that might be her favorite movie of all time, but like
is she just really into the weather? Is
it might be a tornado thing. I never actually thought about that.
Okay.
That never occurred to me.
Oh yeah. So fairness, there is some common ground there.
There is. I never put those two things together. I'll have to ask her about that. But yeah, I would have been remiss had I not mentioned it. That is my mother's, arguably my mother's favorite movie.
Andy, that is personally fascinating to me. Please at least send her a text and then report back on the next record.
I will.
Yeah.
Cool.
I will.
And it took 30 years to get almost 30 years to get a sequel to it as well.
Yeah, and she didn't care. Didn't have any interest in seeing it.
Oh, no kidding.
She likes the single tornado, like the fact it was Twisters.
Yep.
She's like, too much for one movie. It's one.
Yeah, I know it's inexplicable. My mother is an enigma.
Right. You got to set like when she calls, you got to set her number to like the Wicked Witch of like the West, like.
Yep.
Like,
yep. Yep. That's right.
Napoleon, pick number 2. What do you got?
So having a tough time for Wildcard. I guess I could just really do anything.
Literally do anything. It's technically the easiest category.
But I'm going to choose D3, the Mighty Ducks.
Wow.
Wow.
As your wild card,
I liked all the Yeah, I liked all the Mighty Ducks movies.
Yeah, they were good. The show was
They were
good too.
great.
Yep, the show was
I haven't
good.
seen that yet.
I enjoyed the show.
Yeah, surprisingly good.
Then going into college, it was a fun movie.
The Mighty Ducks movies are, I agree with you wholeheartedly, they are wonderful family films.
Yeah.
Knuckle Puck. Yep.
Keenan
Love them.
Thompson, Goldberg.
Yep. Goldberg didn't turn out so well as things.
No.
Yeah,
went. Poor guy.
Okay.
a lot of famous people in that original movie came back for D3 as well.
Yeah. Yeah, that's an interesting. I don't remember. All the Mighty Ducks movies sort of have blended together for me, and I don't remember necessarily who was in what and what happened in each one. But I do recall enjoying it.
Yeah.
So moving on, I'm going to wrap my so bad it's good category. I've got like a couple. I've got 3 left on my list right now. 2 pretty good picks, but again, this is going to be another kind of horror movie classic that I watched with my brother, and this is Leprechaun 4 in Space. Leprechaun 4 in Space.
I'm the leprechaun.
But so in the first movie, he's the leprechaun. He's chasing around Jennifer Aniston. That's very scary. The second movie, he's kind of doing the same thing. He is just no famous people in that one. The third Leprechaun movie, he goes to Vegas. There's not really a ton of Vegas stuff, but it's nice to see the hometown represented. The fourth one, he's in space. The next 2 movies after that, he's in the hood. So what happened to Vegas to get him up to space, and what happened in space that sort of kind of got him down and sort of kind of landed, then just sort of landed him in like the midst of tough times. Real quick favorite scene in that movie, maybe one of my favorite scenes in any horror movie ever, is there's this evil alien princess who has kind of been like arrested by the spaceship that the leprechaun ends up breaking into. Her name is Princess Zarina, and she has one scene where she's sort of sided with the leprechaun. She's kind of holding all the rest of the crew hostage. Princess Zarina opens up her blouse, shows her breasts to like the remaining crew, and says, "Look upon them and know that you are forever doomed." And kind of closes her blouse, turns and leaves the room. The dialogue between the crew after she leaves is, "Don't get too excited, boys. On the planet Dominia, when a woman of royal blood shows you her breasts, it's a death sentence." And then one of the crew members goes, "And what part of her anatomy is she going to kill me with?" Wonderful, wonderful film.
Yep.
I thought you were going to say is when Jason puts the victim in the bag and starts beating against a tree.
That's also that's
Wrong movie. All right. Sorry.
Kills in that one too.
That's a real Sophie's choice for me, Naveen. Like Lep 4 and Jason X are both just unquestionable sort of like classics.
We should also mention just the importance of Warwick Davis, the guy that played the Leprechaun in our in our film histories. Star
Willow,
Wars.
the Ewok Wicket.
Yep.
One of the professors at Hogwarts.
Yep, and also one of the goblins in Gringotts Bank played that role as well.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's been in so much stuff.
Mm-hmm. So much that we kind of grew up on specifically.
Yep.
Andy, over to you.
All right. Well, I guess I'm gonna go to So Bad It's Good.
Okay.
And God, there's a lot to pick from, but I'm gonna go with a movie that I actually really, really like, and I don't think it's that bad, but no, let me rephrase that. I know it's terrible, but I love it. And it's not my favorite movie with this particular pair. paired up in it, but it's the only one of them in 1996 that was released. That pair is Chris Farley and David Spade. The movie is Black Sheep.
Black Sheep.
That's so bad it's good.
Yeah.
Through the lens of Tommy Boy was such just like a just so funny, such a surprise classic. It was a very just Tommy Boy was such a tough act to follow.
That was that's definitely obviously my favorite of the two of them together. But I think Black Sheep is one of those movies that is pretty underrated and kind of gets forgotten to time. I kind of lump it in there with some of the other kind of lesser known movies from those SNL cast members, like Airheads, with Adam Sandler and Steve Buscemi and Brendan Fraser, and there's a bunch of other ones too. But I kind of put Black Sheep into that category, which is it's really funny. It's not the funniest of the bunch, but it's kind of early on in careers, and so yeah, Black Sheep.
Almost Heroes. I think I would like a loop into that as well.
Yep, that's another good one.
Oh, that one was great. Whose idea was the corn?
Yeah,
that's a great one.
Good pick. Naveen, you got a double to wind down your roster. What are you going to do?
All right, I'm going to jump to the wild card category, and I'm going to take Birdcage.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, that was just a great movie. I think one of the first, or with a gay, parents kind of thing happening.
100% had never seen that on like in a film before.
Right, and then Robin Williams is just impressive. So any performance he gives, it rocks, from comedy to drama to whichever. And then
great Hank Azaria performance in that one.
Yeah,
Agador Spartacus.
Mm.
I don't know why I remember that.
Something I just read recently, actually, about it, which is kind of neat, was that obviously Nathan Lay is openly gay. But he was worried with this film, just being that way, because at the time it was still kind of taboo, and
he was not out of the closet at the time, but particularly like even in '96, like a Hollywood actor like that, like he didn't kind of come out. Same thing with Ellen DeGeneres. Like neither of them came out till like a few years after.
Right, but he's mentioned that Robin Williams was like, "No, man, you be you. You're good. Don't be afraid of it and stuff." So. I think that helped him bring out his best performance too. Just the electricity between them. There, I'm blanking on the word to use, but
just a kind of great chemistry between them.
There we go.
Gene Hackman, kind of one of his better sort of like later roles, is kind of like this this kind of stern Southern kind of right leaning congressman.
Yeah, and RIP to him as well.
Yeah. Funny thing for me, this is actually the first movie I saw in the theater without my parents. It was just one of those things, and this is just like a month or so before like I actually have my license, but we randomly kind of got dropped off of this. But I saw this with a buddy from high school who I've kind of since lost contact since then, who actually I didn't know at the time, but sort of came out of the closet like years and years later.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah. Okay, and I think you had another pick after this.
Yeah, the So Bad It's Good category.
So Bad It's Good.
Oh man, I had a tough time with this one because I think there's a few that was just so bad it's good. I think I'm gonna, I just enjoyed it. I'm gonna go with Dragonheart. I enjoyed that one. Just that kind of era of movie. Sean Connery was, great in it. But overall, some of the acting was not so good, and the plot was all right. But I don't know. I enjoyed it.
I had you listed as picking that movie for one of these categories.
What's that?
I had you listed as picking that movie for one of the categories.
Oh yeah, yeah. Just I did enjoy it, even though it was a big flop and everything.
Nuts. Okay, going to Andy for your final pick.
So I've got Wildcard left. I'm conflicted if I should pick a movie that I know people loved because it puts me in a better position, or if I should go with my gut. I'm going to go with my gut rather than take the easy way out. And I think I'm okay. I'm going to pick a movie based on a book by an author who I would list as one of my all-time favorites. And actually one of two movies that was released during this year that was adapted from one of that author's books. And I'm going to pick the movie Matilda.
Okay.
The other one,
I was going to ask you to pause for a second, but I never would have had that in the back pocket.
Yeah, so it's funny because my wild card picks the three that I had picked out were Matilda, Space Jam, and James and the Giant Peach. I had picked all three of them.
That was the Henry Selick. That was the stop motion animation.
That's right. That's right.
Henry Selick. He was the same guy that directed the Nightmare Before Christmas. Everybody kind of attributes that to Burton, but it was
correct. Yeah, and I can't think of the name of the studio that does all of that stop motion.
Henry Selick.
Yeah, I keep wanting to say Weta, but I know it's not Weta. Weta is
Weta was Peter Jackson's.
Yeah, Peter Jackson. Yeah. I can't think of the name of the. But anyway, everything they do is unimpeachable. It's amazing. But Matilda, I love Matilda. I think it's a fantastic movie. I think it's a great story. I think it's superbly acted. It is, I mean, if you've ever read the book, it is a perfect encapsulation of that book.
Maybe I was a huge Roald Dahl fan as a kid, and Matilda, he had one or two very minor entries following that, but that was like Matilda was his last real great prior to him just dying like a couple years later.
Yeah, that's right. It's fantastic, and I love it. And I guess a secondary shout out to the more recent adaptation of it, the movie that was based on the Matilda Broadway show, is also super fun. It's well worth the watch. It's not as good as the original because the original is the original, right. But still, it just goes to show you what can be done on the strength of a really good, well-crafted story. And Roald Dahl knew how to do it, man. That guy, every one of his books, even if they're not there are some that are the pinnacle, Matilda being one of them. But even his lesser known, less good, quote unquote, books, still phenomenal.
I personally have all my original print Roald Dahl books, everything that I was able to kind of salvage sitting in my bookcase like right now.
Yep.
I had that on my wild card list too. It's one of the few books I actually read that's not based off of a movie
or a professional wrestler.
Yes.
Andy, Leica was the studio that you were thinking of.
Leica, that's it.
Right.
That's it. Yep.
Okay. For my wild card, I'm just going to sort of like pick one of the out of the set that I see kind of remaining out of my picks. There's a slightly better movie out of kind of my remaining set, but it wasn't a movie that I watched, and it wasn't a movie that was important to me until about like my late teens, early 20s. So I think I got to pocket that one, and I got put down for my wild card the Baz Luhrmann, DiCaprio, and Dane's Romeo and Juliet.
I can't believe it hasn't been picked already.
Yeah. Personally, just for me, if like when I was a teenager, if a movie had like a ray gun or a spaceship or like a lightsaber or just any, I just like to go to nerd shit, and I like to go to kind of smarmy, pretentious stuff that I thought would make me a more interesting person in college, like whatever, like the fuck have you. Like I was never a rom-com guy. I was never one to just kind of just sort of sit down and watch movies about kind of just love and romance and relationships, like all the rest of that. But Romeo and Juliet, I kind of just ended up sort of seeing randomly at a friend's place, and it really kind of struck a chord with me for like a number of reasons. The depiction of just like the style that it actually had, one of the absolute best soundtracks of just anything that we have on like the lineup right now. Stuff from like Radiohead and Garbage and like all the rest of that. The certain scenes of it, like the early party scene, well, with Claire Danes and the Angel Wings, or with DiCaprio sort of getting into that fight with Mercutio, or like as not like a Shakespeare expert, but like a guy who kind of took classes in kind of like late high school or like college, the decision that they sort of made of Romeo drinking the poison, Juliet waking up, and them actually looking at each other, and Romeo having that moment of like, holy shit. Holy shit! Like that realization before he dies completely just caught me off guard and kind of like bowled me over like emotionally. It's kind of I was kind of pocketing this one. It's like a little bit sort of like outside my purview. I thought it was gonna do this if sci-fi or horror became like too thin of a category, but yeah, the '96 Romeo and Juliet, just got to have that my wild card since it's still on the board.
Yeah, it's a good one. I liked how they kind of kept the language there, but they also modernized it by using guns and things as opposed to like the swords and the knives and things that they are actually talking about,
which is a thing they'd like to do like in like a lot of Shakespeare productions, but it was kind of cool seeing a stylized version of that like on screen with like Radiohead playing in the background.
Yeah.
And winding down our '96 movie draft, Napone and his final.
So that's good.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have a
Damn.
good one here. I think
Okay.
this movie's fun. I should say, but it has a lot of good actors in it that from like Hackers and Boy Meets World. If you'd like that show, it's called Daylight with Sylvester Stallone and includes.
Is that the one where they basically get stuck in the Lincoln Tunnel?
Yes.
Yes.
Daylight?
Daylight.
Yes.
Yeah. Wow. I did not think that was going to come in. That was pretty bad.
I don't have a single recollection of this movie even existing.
No kidding.
Napone, could you give us like the broad strokes on what happens in Daylight?
Literally they go into a tunnel and I don't remember the exact reason why a bomb goes off in there. I think someone's trying to
like
steal
both
something.
sides of the tunnel. Something happens, right?
Yeah, they like get trapped in there for whatever reason. And it's basically them trying to figure out how to get out of the tunnel.
Mm-hmm. There is a 2009 episode of American Dad called "A Rapture's Delight," where Stan it reveals that he is obsessed with Daylight the movie, and he decides to go on like the tour in New York in the tunnels of like the Daylight shooting locations. And like when he goes and gets on the tour bus, Sylvester Stallone just happens to be there someday, like that day, and he's just like, yeah, it's really cool. I just never thought to take the tour before. I just wanted to check it out. And then while they're in the tour, there's an earthquake and they get stuck in the tunnel on the tour bus, and they basically end up kind of reenacting like the entirety of the movie. It's really pretty funny.
Check out that episode.
Right.
That is a very interesting choice.
Who had money on our 1996 roster ending on Daylight?
Not I.
Good job.
It was that or Bordello of Blood, I guess.
Oh yeah. I got excited, but then I realized I had only seen the one before it with Halle Berry.
Demon Knight.
Yeah, thank you.
Right. Halle Berry, or was it Jada Pinkett Smith?
Good question. Might have been Jada.
Billy Zane, Jada Pinkett Smith, I believe.
Billy Zane played the devil in that, right?
Yeah.
Dope fucking movie. Really, really. Is Bordello of Blood any good at all?
I don't recall it being good.
Right.
It wasn't very memorable.
Because like Demon Knight was great, but then they made Bordello of Blood, and then nothing happened after that. So I never got the sense it was anything like that exciting.
It wasn't as good as Demon Knight, but had Dennis Miller in it, and I remember him being pretty funny. In the movie.
Yeah. And Corey Feldman.
Yeah, I just don't remember him that much in that movie.
Yeah. I think he had a guitar solo. That's probably why.
Yes.
Dude can shred.
Yeah.
Okay, so kind of going down the line here. I'm going to do like a little bit more kind of spreadsheet magic and reading through the final rosters for 1996 films, starting with Andy. In action, he had From Dusk Till Dawn. In comedy, he had Beavis and Butthead Do America. It should be Andy parentheses the two movies Johnny really wanted. But then we kind of like diverted like a little bit. Drama, That Thing You Do. In sci-fi horror romance, we had Mars Attacks. In Wildcard, we had the adaptation of Roald Dahl's Matilda. And then in So Bad It's Good, we had the second and final David Spade, Chris Farley comedy Black Sheep. All right, going to Naveen's lineup. In action, Independence Day. Comedy, Biodome. Train Spotting and Drama. Frighteners in sci-fi horror romance. For the wild card, he had The Birdcage. And So Bad It's Good, Dragonheart.
All right.
It's a strong list.
Yeah, very strong list. So I think Naveen's. So let's see what we have here. Napoleon in action took Twister. Kingpin in comedy. Fear in drama, which may or may not kind of just
Ding ding.
bonus round points for Eric in any kind of case. Sci-fi horror romance, he had Scream. Wildcard, he had D3, The Mighty Ducks. And So Bad It's Good, he had Daylight. And then finally, the lineup that I ended up with. In action, I had The Rock. Comedy, Kids in the Hall, Brain Candy. Drama, I had Fargo. Sci-fi horror romance, The Island of Dr. Moreau. Romeo and Juliet and Wildcard. And So Bad It's Good, Leprechaun 4, where he goes into space and sees space prince. So, who's all good lineups? I think just first blush. Personally, I personally think Naveen has this one, but I don't know how you guys feel.
Oh, really? Why is that?
It's just, I think you got like the 6 best movies out of the bunch.
Yeah.
I don't know, Johnny, I think you've got a good group too. Leprechaun throws me a little bit, but the rest,
right? Yeah,
I think the rest is super strong on yours.
Mm-hmm.
What was your wild card again, Johnny?
Romeo and Juliet.
Right.
Not a bad one.
But I will say I'm very happy with my.
I'm sorry, Andy. Go ahead.
No, I'm very happy with my lineup. I feel satisfied. It worked out pretty well. I like it.
Absolutely. Do you guys want to do any shout outs for anything that you had on your rosters that didn't get picked by you or anybody else?
Yeah. The Arrival, I thought, was one of those So Bad It's Good movies.
Remind me what The Arrival was about.
It had Charlie Sheen, and it was basically the arrival of aliens that he kind of figured out, and then he was trying to stop them, but they were trying to stop him from figuring it out. So that's what that one was. So there was that one. The Craft, which I'm surprised, especially you, Johnny, being a huge Fairuza Balk fan.
Never seen The Craft.
No, really?
No. Yeah.
That's a fun one.
Yeah.
And
my movie watching becomes a lot more consistent 97 on because I can actually drive to stuff at this point. But by especially kind of newer stuff, it's really hit or miss, like a lot of these things for me.
And I'm also kind of surprised like Happy Gilmore didn't get on that list.
That's the big shock of the night for me is just especially considering like kind of like this just you three like that the fact that Happy Gilmore did not make. The fact that Happy Gilmore did not make a showing ahead of like the Mighty Ducks 3. It's like
I really
I,
thought
uh,
Beavis and Butthead Do America would have been taken. So Happy Gilmore was going to be my next kind of down the list on the comedy section.
my move getting The Rock was basically me sacrificing Beavis and Butthead.
Yeah. Yep. And I would have picked The Rock too. So that's yeah.
Detente. Mutually assured destruction.
That's right.
Andy, any others on your rosters that you didn't get to but want to shout out?
Yeah. So Escape from LA, I thought was going to get picked based on our affinity for Kurt Russell.
Yeah.
And for Carpenter, yeah.
Have never seen it. I know that sort of special effects YouTubes are sort of like an interest for you, and that one has famously some like the worst CGI of like any movie like out of that decade.
Absolutely terrible though, and I thought that one was going to get picked in the So Bad It's Good. I almost did pick it in the So Bad It's Good, but I went with Black Sheep instead. And I'm also surprised that nobody picked Jerry Maguire. Not so much because, again, that I had 3 dramas. That Thing You Do was the one I picked. Romeo and Juliet, Jerry Maguire. There was only one of those 3 movies that I actually enjoyed, and it was That Thing You Do. I didn't particularly care for Jerry Maguire, but I felt like it was kind of a.
It's such an iconic thing for like that year and even that decade. But
it just seemed like a slam dunk that someone was going to grab it. But
I don't think I've actually seen it, so
same.
It's fine.
I agree with you, Andy. It was a good movie. I'm glad I watched it once, but it's nothing I was gonna be like, I need to go back and watch again.
Nope, definitely not. The best part of the whole movie is just is spoofed in the movie Half Baked and done in a much funnier way. The Who's Coming With Me scene.
Right.
Much funnier with Jim Brewer doing it than with Tom Cruise.
I thought you said the Show Me the. I don't remember Show Me the Money and
no.
Half Baked.
Who's coming with me, man? Yeah, good stuff.
Patton Oswalt has a really great bit about going to see Jerry Maguire with his brother on Christmas Eve when LA was completely deserted, and the 2 of them were the only 2 in the theater. And like the movie kind of goes the entire time. He doesn't really care for it too much. And then Tom Cruise has like the big speech in the end, and he's got like tears in his eyes, and he goes, "We live in such a cynical world." And Patton's like, I did not realize my brother fucking hated the movie as much as he did. So he just goes like, Cruise goes, "We live in a cynical world." And Patton's like, my brother just stood up, pointed at the screen and went, "Fuck you." And there's like, I laughed for like 3 straight days after that.
Yeah.
Kind of like Naveen at the end of Spider-Man 2. Just
I'm glad I live rent-free in your head with that one, Johnny.
yeah. Masterclass. Napone, buddy, what do you got for like unpicked things?
The
Daylight 2 Electric
best,
Boogaloo.
The best one I got is Bulletproof with David Wayans and Adam Sandler.
Yep, that's a good one.
It could have gone into action, I think, as well as comedy.
Right.
I probably should have picked it for my wild card, if not Happy Gilmore, but I just decided not to for whatever reason.
Right.
But that
one was on the bubble for me.
A hilarious movie. I think we got like a VHS free somehow, like when we bought like a DVD player or something like that.
That's hilarious.
For our younger
getting
a VHS free in 1996 was the equivalent of like somebody just on the street just randomly handing you $1,000 in 2025. Exceptional moment.
Yeah, I think Bulletproof is another one of the criminally underrated SNL alum movies. I think it's great.
Right. For really good movies, I didn't get on my roster. I had The People versus Larry Flint, which is something I watched in late college, but just such an entertaining, such like a very kind of compelling movie about just sort of like American kind of sexual morals and just how kind of weird and just fucked up we are, but how kind of just aggressively horny we are and kind of like hypocritical about that like at the same time. Just a really, really great film.
Another good actor, Woody Harrelson, just
Yeah.
I think he was nominated for or won Best Actor for like that for his performance that year.
Yeah, nice.
Oh no, it was a Courtney Love actually won the Academy Award for Best Actress.
Ugh.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
not even making this up. We can like
Just
verify.
play it herself.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
The one that the one that I was considering picking over Romeo and Juliet, but like I kind of landed on, this is a 96 draft. I should try to favor teenage Johnny over kind of 20-something Johnny was Swingers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
One of the best movies ever about driving from California to Vegas, and you think it's a good idea at the start, but when you're an hour 4 kind of going through the desert, you sort of like just realize what like a tactical error like that actually is. Swingers for me, I was kind of trying to get over what at the time was like a little bit of a tough breakup, and the scene of Jon Favreau swing dancing with kind of Heather Graham at the end of it just really kind of lit my heart up. And then for kind of really kind of terrible movies, I had Barbed Wire, which Andy and I talked a little bit about, like on the group chat, a disappointment in certain aspects of seeing it at 16, but like it feels now, I remember that there was these jokes and all this kind of weird shit in the background and these really interesting kind of sets and costumes and just kind of just bizarre things happening. I feel like Barbed Wire is one of these that if you kind of revisited like in our adulthood would be great. 96 Johnny was just like, are there boobs? Will there be more boobs? Oh, those are boobs. It wasn't super exciting. Are they ever going to kind of come back to boobs?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And the other
What
one
it's all about
was kind of like,
striptease.
yeah. Never actually saw it. I just what I found out Barbed Wire was, I kind of knew ahead of time striptease was actually going to be. If that makes sense. Yeah. But the other one I had for So Bad It's Good is a trauma film called Romeo and Juliet, where it's kind of like the Romeo and Juliet movie, kind of done in this kind of freaky kind of grindhouse style. And Juliet is at the start of the movie a lesbian, and she gets continually terrified by her dreams she has, where like a penis puppet pops out of random bits of furniture and goes rawr. Very, very fun film.
All right. Yeah.
So we're running like a little bit late. Any closing thoughts, gentlemen? What do you think about our first draft?
That was fun. It was interesting. Fun in a way, as well as annoying, as you guys took some of my picks, jerks. Yeah. But yeah, it was a good time.
Yeah.
Good.
I enjoyed this.
Getting stabbed through the heart by Andy when Beavis and Butthead, which I had such a story, such a memory like attached to it. But
sorry, bro.
Right.
Look at the draw.
I think this is also why like this is like just 40% of podcasting in 2025. Like this is just like an easy format.
It is, but it's fun. I could see us doing this again. And actually, I do have a question. So, Napone, are you going to come back for the roundup episode when Eric gives us his what am I trying to say? His verdict?
Napone, you said you were interested in coming on for Roger Rabbit specifically, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Why don't we let Eric do the rankings, and we'll do that as like part of the sorbet for that episode.
Yeah,
that works. Yeah,
I'm down for that.
Yeah,
very cool.
Yeah. Napone, closing thoughts. Was this worth kind of spending time away from the dogs?
One of the dogs has been sitting next to me the entire time, so
Okay.
yeah, this was
great.
great.
What's her favorite of 96?
I have no clue. The long
All dogs go to heaven. Part 2.
All dogs go to heaven 2.
All dogs go to heaven. Part 2. Yeah.
Right.
She's been snoring, so.
Maybe she just wasn't a big fan of 96 cinema.
Right, or this podcast and the four of us talking to each other.
Mm-hmm. And that's fair too.
Fair,
right.
This was fun though.
Yeah.
Sweet, agreed.
Good.
Well, I think that's going to wrap up episode 45 for us, gentlemen. Thank you kindly as always. And next week, hopefully, if Eric. All right. can I speak a little bit personally for a moment before we kind of wrap up the show?
Please do.
Do you want this recorded?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, just checking.
I'm not going to disclose anything kind of too much, but this all stays on the wax. So I recently had a great visit to the Northeast. I saw friends, I saw family. I felt like I had a community. I felt loved. It was just wonderful to kind of be back with people. Then I got back to Vegas, and I just been studying my ass off for 4 straight days, completely stressing out, losing my mind. The job I'm applying for right now, it's basically the round I had to do this morning is basically the equivalent of like a software engineer bar exam, where it's a Q&A panel, and just about anything can be asked, and it really kind of makes you nuts. I had, over the course of this episode, Eric is missing this week. We all miss him. We all want him back. I had the best fucking idea for how to actually mess with him while he wasn't here to defend himself, like on this episode. But because I've been so busy studying for like the last 4 days, I've just been losing my mind with that. My plan was originally, I did the interview this morning. It went shockingly well. And I was like, between this morning's interview and the actual sort of recording, I'm going to flesh out the thing that I wanted to do with Eric, with Eric's absence, and then I'm just going to bring it into the pod. I'm glad I didn't do it because we're already running over time. So it would have made this episode like a Cunny style 3 hours and change long thing. Nobody would actually like listen to it all. My concept: Eric and his wife, when I was visiting to them, dropped this out of nowhere. Yeah, we're just going to go to Paris. We're going to go to Paris for a week. We're going to see the sights. We're going to visit the museums. We're going to go to all these very kind of like nice restaurants. And I thought, what a fucking concept to actually kind of use in the podcast when he's not here because he's actually in Paris. The plan that I had was, up at the top of the episode, I was going to announce, guys, I just got a text from Eric, and he and his wife, it's their first night in the city, and they're doing a tasting menu at a fancy restaurant in like the fifth arrondissement. And I was going to, over the course of the draft, occasionally interrupt the draft to be like, oh, I got like a new text and a new photo from Eric of like the tasting menu, like the different like little dishes that they're kind of going through. My plan was to sort of build up to the revelation over like the course of the episode that Eric had actually ended up at a restaurant that only served testicle-based cuisine. Okay, it was going to start with, at the top, oh, Eric is he's dining at some restaurant that it's called the Chat Edouard, and then I would like find out as it goes on, and I would get more text from him like, oh, that's French for like the shaft and 2 balls. And like, as the episode would go on, I would get more and more pictures of like dog testicles, horse testicles, cow testicles, otter testicles, like whatever. That was kind of like build to that. And it would actually sort of end with a long text in Japanese from his wife, who would basically sort of say like, I figured out it was a testicle restaurant early. I just been watching what Eric has been doing. He currently, the lead chef has come out. The chef has dropped trowel. His balls are kind of resting on top of Eric's head, and everybody's like now singing like the French national anthem. I had this whole thing planned out. Okay, I'm very glad that I didn't do it. Sort of looking back at this episode, but at the same,
I feel like you did just do it though. Really,
I'm glad I gave it 5 minutes at the end rather than the 30 to 40 we probably would have fucking gotten if I just tried to sprinkle that like through like the movie like wrapped itself. It would completely derail what I think was like a really pretty entertaining episode for us otherwise.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So that's me. That's my personal story. I'm very tired today. I'm happy though to see the smiling faces of 3 of my favorite people in the world, and a gentleman, this 96 movie draft. This is really kind of so much fun. Eric, have a great time in Paris. Try not to eat balls. Hopefully we're going to see you like again next week.
Yeah, man. Safe travels, Eric, and rooting for you, Johnny. Good luck.
Yeah, man.
I thought you meant
Thanks.
something completely different at first. Take care, guys. We'll see you all in a little
See you
bit.
later.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Making a filter.